Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I've got Why Do Dating Apps Not Work for Average Men by Aesthetics Waiting. We're going to react to his video here and see what he has to say for dating apps and using them for the average guy. So let's launch into it.
Have you ever wondered why average men on dating apps basically gets no matches? What is going on here? Is it simply a difference in the amount of men versus women? Are women's standards really high? What is actually happening here? So last time I checked, the average dating app had about...
So let's just pause for the statistics. So we've got for Tinder, which is an awful dating app, by the way. I don't think you should use it really in any country. I don't think it's very good, but specifically terrible in the US. There seems to be more females than worldwide on Tinder. India's 93.7. Oh my goodness. Europe looks closer to 50-50 actually in UK. US is pretty far down there. India, I think, kind of throws off the weight of everything, but the US is the lowest. So guys, Tinder I would not recommend. Hinge, Bumble, better apps for use in the US, but ideally you're dating overseas anyways, so that's where I would look.
3-to-1 men to women in their ratio. So clearly more men are interested in going on dates with women online than women are. So straight away, the scale is kind of tipped to one side, right? That alone makes dating a lot harder for the average guy. Another thing is that men are also...
Shows destiny. Interesting.
So way less selective with who they swipe right on compared to women. And to illustrate this, I recently went on a date with this girl, and she's cute. She's a pretty girl, right? We got to the conversation of dating apps, and I'm very curious, and I wanted to know what her experience was like using Tinder. And she told me she was averaging 1,000 likes on Tinder a day.
Yeah, this is a very common experience for women, and I think people know this by now, but even if you're an average woman, because of the disproportionate amount of men on a dating app compared to women, and the overall, we know that the standards for men are different, that men basically weight the attractiveness of women evenly across the board. So whether it's 1s, 2s, 3s, all the way up to 10, it's basically close to an even distribution. It kind of looks like this, and tailing off at the far ends of everything. But we know how women rate men, it's, tons of them rate them 1 through 5, and then it starts to decline with 6, 7, 8, 9, and like this, not 10s don't even like exist at that point. So because of that, your average woman's going to get significantly more likes and super likes and attention on dating apps than your average guy will. Not to mention that's filtered through the fact that there's way more men on the dating apps anyway. So what I tell people in the US where the ratio is way off, just don't deal with that here. It's not going to be worth it for most average guys, and instead look for meeting women in person or dating overseas where you do have an advantage. It's much more worth your time.
Yeah. So every day she would log in, she would have 1,000 guys swiping right on her that she could choose from. And she told me this, and she got Tinder Gold just to see, who was swiping right and left on her. So 1,000 likes a day. Okay. Now,
imagine what that would do to your self-perception and ego, right? And so dating apps were released on people. It's not like there was really this massive demand for it. Sure, online datings always exist, but these things are released on people by powerful individuals to want to affect social change and society and make money from people. And so think how that would warp your average person when that's sort of just released on them. It's not going to have a good effect.
Even if you're like the best looking guy in the world, you're not getting 1,000 likes a day on a dating app, right?
You are if you're in different countries. Yeah, I've experienced it. You go to other places, all of a sudden now you're the hot girl on the dating app.
Pretty, like she's a pretty girl, and I would say she's, an attractive girl, but like 1,000 likes a day, that's an insane amount of men to choose from, right? Now, I want to ask you this. Why would she choose an average guy? When her choices are so vast, why would she choose a guy that doesn't have anything?
Right, and this is obvious because why wouldn't women exercise their best options? Like, I mean, put them in your shoes, right? It's like a lot of people like to seethe online about how, oh, women never choose the average guy on the dating app. And it's like, well, would you either? Right? Humans are always sort of have this drive to take what they think is the best option and what they think is going to be the best result for them. That's just a natural inclination and drive that they have. So it makes sense that this would happen.
Special going on in terms of his looks? The answer is she wouldn't. If you were in that same situation and you had 1,000 girls liking your dating app profile and swiping right on you, and you could choose from any of them, you aren't going to pick the dime a dozen humdrum girl. You are going to go for a girl that stands out to you in some way. And first of all, like if you're just scrolling through like who actually liked your profile as she was doing, an average looking face and body isn't going to stand out at all. Like it would just be blur. It would just be like part of the background while she's looking for guys that she likes in some way. And if getting 1,000 likes from women on a dating app a day is too far-fetched for you to imagine if you're hiring someone for a job and you get 1,000 job applications a day. Okay, why on God's green earth would you choose just a dime a dozen?
Another thing guys don't realize too is that even if they get the like and they match with the girl on the dating app, you're naive if you think that you're the only one that they're chatting with. They're chatting with tons of other. I mean, these inboxes are insane, the amount of guys that they have to chat with. And sometimes you just get lost in the mix, even if they began chatting with you, because they have like a top 10, a top 25 that they're chatting with. So you have to be exceptional just to get the like, just to match. And then you have to be able to be good at messaging on these apps just to retain their attention before getting the date. It's a momentous challenge that most average men are just simply not prepared for.
As an average job applicant, there's no point. It would be totally illogical for you to do so. You're either going to wait and get the best possible offer, like the best possible job applicant, the guy that is like the most qualified and has the best experience and so on, or you are going to pick one job applicant that has some kind of specialty niche ability that is very hard to find. He'll have some X factor that is valuable to your company. You're going to hire that guy. You're not going to hire any of the humdrum job applicants, are you? This is the position that pretty women are in when they're using a dating app. They are getting so many of these guys liking her and wanting to date her. If you are an average guy and you're not...
Second of all, too, I mean, guys are also really bad at putting their profiles together. I've seen some of these and they're total disasters. And I was like that early on too. I didn't know how to put a profile together. You don't know what photos to use. You don't know how to caption things. And so, guys need help with that. But for a lot of them, even if they put together their profile well, just based on how gifted they are genetically, they're going to get sorted out. But for a lot of guys who have some form of, being classically handsome, or have some hair, are in okay shape, can dress well, you can actually put together a pretty good profile and get above like 80% of the guys with just garbage profiles, terrible profiles, and pictures in bathrooms and weird. It's like this. I don't want to hate on this guy, but it's like this is not a well put together profile. That's not how this guy. You could actually put together a decent profile. He could actually perform decent on the dating apps, but this is not a well put together profile. You put strategic, short, snappy prompts together to get the girl's attention, and that's it.
In some kind of niche, or you're not like a Chad, you're not a very good looking guy, you are functionally invisible, and that's why average men basically gets no matches on dating apps. Like when I'm traveling abroad and I'm in a country where my looks are pretty unique, I do pretty damn well because
What isn't this what I'm always saying, guys? Come on. Like when it's guy after guy and person after person saying this and me saying it over and over again, maybe it is true. So it's just like he's saying, if you can go somewhere where you're exotic, different, stand out, then that's just going to increase your odds significantly more than trying to do the horrific meat grinder that is the dating apps in the US. I think it's just a much better trade-off there.
Standouts from the crowd, right? I have blue eyes, I have blonde hair, I'm quite tall, my shoulders are quite wide. I wouldn't say I'm a Chad, definitely can't be replaced that easy in countries that I'm visiting. So when I'm using a dating app, I usually average like 50 to 100 likes a day when I'm traveling around.
Yep,
unless you're like
I can confirm that's accurate.
Really good looking guy, or you're unique looking in some kind of way, like you have some kind of niche appeal, like you're the hyper masculine bodybuilder guy, you're a skater guy, you're an emo guy, you're a thug maxed guy, maybe you've got like long blonde hair like I do. There's some sort of niche to you where you kind of stand out from the crowd. I think that's the only way an average guy can basically be not invisible.
Yeah, playing it safe is playing it fail. Exactly. Playing it safe and trying to that's what the girls do on the dating apps. Just play it safe and you'll be fine. But as your guy on a dating app, you can't afford to play it safe. You have to peacock, as what they called in the older red pill days, peacocking, but you have to stand out to some degree. And how you do that in real life is you go up and talk to women. Now, a lot of men are adverse to that in modern Western society, and their, fears are somewhat justified. But if you're going to date in the US, the way to stand out is to do what the other men aren't doing, and that is approach in person. But if you're going to settle for the dating app approach, you then need to think even more counterintuitively and find even more creative ways to stand out in a good way. Staying out in a bad way is also going to get you discarded. So you need to be strategic about how you stand out, and then you can make it work.
The dating app is if you stand out in some kind of way. And again, being a Chad is like genetically beyond the scope of most men, right? So if they aren't some sort of niche, they're just, dime a dozen. They're functionally invisible on a dating.
That's why like aesthetics maxing is kind of like a scam, because I would say like there's a distribution to everything. So there's the top gifted genetic Chads, and they're going to look amazing no matter what. They're gifted genetically. Then there's a group kind of beneath that where if they really maximize themselves and work at it, let's say the Chad group is like 5%. Then the next group maybe might be 15%, let's say. If they do the aesthetics maxing, they dress well, they get into shape, they can look really, really good and stand out. And there's another group of men where it's like, even if they max it out, they're not going to look that great. And then there's another group where they're just not on the genetically gifted appearance end of the scale. And they must find other ways to, make themselves stand out from the crowd. But trying to pretend that every guy can reach this Chad level by, aesthetics maxing and dressing and working out well, I encourage you to do all that. Make yourself the best version of yourself you can be, but you're never going to achieve this crazy, high level, get to the top 5% of men.
Dating app. You're one of the 1,000 guys that are swiping right on that girl's profile, right? And another thing with looks is that the return on investment for looking better is asymptotic. And an asymptote is basically when something approaches a point on a graph, it takes like an upturn to infinity, kind of like an exponential increase. This is something that a lot of people really struggle to wrap their head around. If you go from a 5 to a 7 in looks, people assume, okay, well, you're going to get a bit more matches. Going from a 5 to a 7 will give you an exponential increase in the amount of matches you get. Because now...
Yeah, also knows the odds of diminishing returns, right? So if you go from a 5 to 7 as a guy, that's a big deal. And it takes a certain amount of effort. But going from 7 to 8, it's like infinitely more effort, and then, infinitely more difficult to do after that.
You're out of the dime a dozen humdrum group of guys, and now you look quite handsome. You're like a 7. You're a 7 out of 10. And most people don't really have the ability to comprehend things in an exponential way. We like to think in a linear graph. We don't tend to get instinctually exponentiality as well as we do something.
Oh, look at the logarithmic chart. Since the real exponential increase in Bitcoin's value. We're going to do a video on Bitcoin soon.
That's linear. The return on investment for looks is not linear. I want to give an example. This guy on this forum created 2 separate dating app profiles on Tinder, and he used his regular picture, and he used a picture that was heavily filtered and photoshopped to make himself more attractive. He gave himself a jawline, more forward projection, just a bunch of features that would make him objectively better looking as a guy. And he noticed he was getting 4 matches a week on his regular pictures. On his photoshopped pictures, he was getting on his first day, he said he got 50 likes on Tinder in a day. That is an order of magnitude better results. That is an exponential increase in the amount of dating success that guy is having if he was actually looking like his photoshopped and filtered picture, right? And again, this is hard for people to imagine. A guy that is a 7 out of 10 is a whole different... It's not even comparable, the amount of attraction that he'll create.
Yeah, we're going to skip to this part here.
Average look.
I think the part I want to add is that, that's an interesting experiment because it shows you that if you can just improve a little bit, you can really, sort of leverage that and make it much, much better. So, that's definitely an interesting experiment. Also, I think with dating apps is a serious problem for men because it reduces you to looks. And it's we know that men are much more than that and are valued for much more than that by women in reality. But dating apps force you to be sort of sorted in this artificial, superficial way. So if you're not gifted in the looks department, but you have a lot of other things going for you, maybe money, success, drive, you're really intelligent and things like that, dating apps are not for you because it's just showcasing that one aspect of you. But if you meet women in person, you force multiply that by going to a different country. Now you can sort of get, the value that you want out of the situation because you're using your full skill set.
Looking dudes as to why they're not getting matches on Tinder. They'll say stuff like, oh, you need to change your bio, you need to smile more, oh, their position's not quite right, they'll like hyper analyze every single aspect and make the guy.
I mean, there is some game to this. Like, there is some thought that goes behind it. Sometimes people overthink it, but there are maxes to it. Like, it's not going to take you from a 3 to a 10. It'll add a couple points. And a lot of men's profiles are awful. Maybe they're getting better over the last few years because people are catching on. But at some point, it's like, you're gonna hit a limit. You're gonna hit a point where you can only perform so well on these apps.
Guys second guess every single thing that he's saying or doing, or like, it's just like, no. Again, this pretty girl that I dated said she was getting 1,000 likes a day.
Yeah.
If you're an average looking guy, you're functionally invisible to her. And this is like the curse of the average guy. Like, you don't want to be interchangeable with one of the many 1,000 guys that were liking this girl's profile in a day. You don't want to be in that position. You want to stand out in some kind of way. The Reddit's soy jack guy is going to be like, oh no, you need to smile more. It's just like, shut up, average.
Yeah, it's like, it's not going to, give you that edge. Guys think they can just, well, if I just like game it and max it enough, then like, it's like a video game. Like, if I put in enough work and level up, then like I can be like the boss level on the dating app. And it's like, no, it's not really how this thing works. It's like, there's a max to it. You can only maximize it so much. But what is the word he kept using in this video? What can we take away from this video? Uniqueness, being unique, standing out. And he made the point about the matches and likes he got while he was overseas. Guys, maybe you're not this level, but your market goes up considerably as soon as you start dating overseas at all and living in a different country. You're now unique, no matter how good or ugly you start looking. So take that from this video and take that as the lesson from this one. So let me know what your thoughts are on this video in a comment down below. You know how to support the channel. It's liking and subscribing. Let me know your thoughts on this specific situation. What are your experiences on dating apps? Do you think you're an average man? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.